everybody, welcome back to another video. So apparently we're the crazy ones. Apparently we're the ones that just don't see it. Apparently we're the ones that are crazy. Apparently we're the ones that are psycho. And as Yankee fans, we are psycho. But we know the game. Most of us do. I'll say most of us, not all of us. Most Yankee fans know the game the way that they should. So let me just give you a quick background. So when I did this 5 things not to be excited about, Aaron Boone was one of those 5. And I stand by that. Now, my generation of Yankee fan, if you were born in the early 90s, we've been lucky when it comes to Yankee managers. We've only had 3 that we remember, but Buck was here, until 95. So if you remember Buck when you were 4 years old, all power to you. I don't. So you had Buck, Torre, Girardi, and then you have Boone. Now, when Boone was hired in 2018, after Girardi just took them to the American League Championship Series, a team that didn't belong there, right? A team that was a surprise to everybody. Judge was young. Sanchez was young. It was a young team. We were just coming out of that retool, right, when we traded everybody away. And to bring in a rookie manager like Aaron Boone with this type of team, it was there was questions. And I remember that. It was like, why him? Really? I didn't like the hire from the jump. And especially when you had guys out there like Willie Randolph, you had Buck Showalter was still available. You could have brought Buck back, which I think everybody would have been happy about. Or you could have just extended Girardi. Now, Cashman and Girardi had a falling out because Girardi didn't want to listen to Cashman, right? Girardi was like, this is my team. It's my roster. I will implement what I need to do, and it's my team. Leave me alone, right? And Girardi was a rough around the edges type of manager. Very, very in your face. He was a player's manager, but he had a backbone. I remember him yelling at Sanchez in the dugout, and that hurt Sanchez's feelings because this day and age, these players can't handle a little criticism, right? So they brought in Boone to kiss the players' asses, right? He has no backbone. He's a player's coach. He's got no snarl to him. He tries, like when he hit the desk during the season, that didn't do anything, right? When they were in the middle of that long skid. His pre- and post-game conferences are nauseating. They're nothing but platitudes. Everybody's just this close, right? And there's no backbone. There's no personality with him. It's all about making sure the players like him, and that does not make a good manager, right? You need to have a good relationship with your players, yes, but there's more to it than just that. You can't just kick their ass. You need to be able to hold them accountable. And other things that Boone does, I hate the way he handles the bullpen. I hate the way he handles the rotation. Every day there's a different lineup. This is maybe, me remembering with Girardi and Torre. You knew where Jeter was hitting. You knew where Bernie was hitting, right? You knew who Knobloch was going to lead off, right? You kind of knew that Brocious was going to be at the bottom of the lineup somewhere, right? There was some consistency with the lineup, and that helps the offense because then you know where you're hitting every day. You know who's behind you, who's in front of you, what your job is. Constantly changing the lineup over and over and over again, it doesn't help. Now, that's the new analytical way of thinking, right? The old school lineup used to be your fastest guy was your leadoff guy, a guy that got on base that set the table. Your best hitter was usually your 2-hitter, a guy that can handle the bat, contact guy. 3, 4, 5 were your RBI guys. 6, 7, 8, lower average guys that could put the ball in play, and 8 and 9 were table setters for the top of the lineup, right? That's how it used to be. Now it's, you bat your best player first so he gets the most at bats. And there's a flaw with that because if you have your best hitter coming up with nobody on base, and he's hitting solo home runs do not win games. 3-run home runs win games, right? So you kind of don't have that with Boone. Now, the other day, Boone was giving his normal press conference during spring training, and he came out with this quote about Donaldson. And it drives people crazy because he likes to think he's the smartest guy in the room sometimes, and it drives me crazy when he thinks this because he's kind of calling the fans stupid without saying it. That's how I interpret it. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree. But the quote is this. Quote, "I think you're crazy to think that a bounce back is not in there offensively," Boone said Tuesday after a workout at Steinbrenner Field. This guy still physically at this point is in a much better place than he was a year ago. He's super talented and his bat speed is there. What? Bat speed? He struck out 148 times last year, the second most in his career. He struck out 155 times with Atlanta in I have it right here, in 2019. So, bat speed. He swings a wet newspaper. His timing was always just off, right? Yes, he had some big moments, right? He offensively, he hit the walk-off hit against the Red Sox on opening day, and he had the 3-run homer or the grand slam against the Rays in extra innings later in the season. But the numbers don't say that, right? He hit 222, 148 strikeouts, 15 home runs, and 478 at-bats, right, in 550 plate appearances. So the average is kind of on par with where he's been the last couple of years. He hit 247 with Minnesota, and he hit 222 with Minnesota the year after that. So, he's kind of on par. But we got to remember, this guy's 37 years old. He's on the back nine of his career. Now, the Yankees love his defense. And personally, I think he should have won the Gold Glove last year. But offensively, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And in the playoffs, he looked lost. He was an automatic out during the playoffs. He didn't. And I mean, what Yankee really provided any offensive fire punch other than Bader, but that doesn't leave the excuse that this was all year. We were dealing with it all year, and when the deal was made, when they traded Urshela and Sanchez for IKF and Donaldson, I thought that I always remember Donaldson as a Blue Jay when he had that rough around the edge swagger. Like I said before about in the Bauer video, he's an asshole. And sometimes you need that, right, in your locker room. And, he's not a prototypical clean-cut Yankee, right? He speaks his mind. He's controversial. He opens his mouth. And that's not always a bad thing. It's just how you do it. And he doesn't do it right all the time. That whole run-in he had with Tim Anderson is one of the things that come to mind. But at the same time, we were thinking that he was going to get traded. And I didn't think he was because of his defense and the fact that they're just going to let him walk at the end of the year, or maybe make a trade in the middle of the season. We'll see. But, he's your starting third baseman for right now. And, I don't think we're crazy to think that we're going to get the same crap that we got last year with this guy, offensively. The videos that we've seen, or I've seen on Twitter, he's striking out left and right in these live at-bat videos. Why, this is the thing I have a problem with Boone. Again, I'm going to bring this back to Boone, then we'll talk about Hicks. Boone will always kiss the player's ass. Always. He never criticizes a player. Tell me maybe once or twice. He just says, we as a group need to be better. He never single-handedly calls out a player. And I have issue with that because players need to be held accountable. If they're not hitting, they need to be held accountable to that to get better. If they're struggling, they need to get pulled out of the lineup and given a day. Not like pulling Aaron Judge because he needs a maintenance day on Jackie Robinson Day, right? Boone is the type of manager that you do not want. And I personally will say this again, I really do not believe that the Yankees will go anywhere and get over the hump with this type of manager. They tried, it failed. Now, the reason why he's here is because Cashman can turn the needle on him and turn the knobs and tell him, he's sitting today, you're batting him here, and Boone will just say yes, right? Even though there's been plenty of people saying, well, Boone, it's his lineup card. He makes the lineup. I'll believe it when I see it, right? Boone's going to be remembered for his ejections, right? He's not going to be, and he's not going to be remembered for the fact that he's one of the most regular season winning managers. And, I want to call BS on the Yankees as well to say, it's World Series or bust. World Series or bust. Multiple championships. If that was the case, and it wasn't just making the playoffs, Boone would not be here anymore. He's proven time and time again. 2018, knocked out by the Red Sox. 2019, knocked out by the Astros. 2020, even though that was a weird year, knocked out by the Rays. Right? I can go on. So, when you're looking at this, 2021, didn't get out of the wild card game, lost to the Red Sox. 2022, lose a sweep to Houston. So there's no playoff, positivity here. It always ends in heartbreak. And, the Yankees didn't do what they needed to do. They didn't upgrade at left field. They didn't do what they needed to do when it comes to backing up the rotation and maybe getting an extra arm because they knew Montas might be hurt. Now they were able to clean up something in his labrum. He'll be throwing in 12 weeks, so we should see him at the end of the second by, August maybe even before that. So that's positive news. But still, you're dealing with the pitcher with the shoulder problem that you traded for. That's on Cashman. That's not on Boone. But Cashman and Boone are linked. And Cashman will go to Hal and say, listen, you fire him, you need to fire me too. And the reason why is because he's Cashman's puppet. And I will live by that until it's shown otherwise. And that you can see it's the same thing over and over again, just the way that he speaks to the media with this quote. Okay? Saying that Aaron Hicks, it's his job to lose. What did Aaron Hicks do last year that gives him that type of opportunity? He was booed out of Yankee Stadium multiple times last year. He was benched by Boone, and I don't think he was benched because of what he did. I think he was benched for protection because the fans were, he was public enemy number one for a while, okay? Hicks at one point was a good defensive center fielder. He was, and he had some pop, but injuries and last year, there's got to be a better option. And now I also saw that they're teasing, Judge playing left as well to give Stanton some more time in right field. I don't hate it. I don't like it either. You want to keep Judge. You just signed Judge to 9 years. You want to keep him as healthy as possible for those 9 years. Now you're going to switch him over to left field. Makes sense. But Profar is still out there. They still haven't brought in Profar yet. Why is Aaron Hicks in Aaron Boone's mind worthy of saying it's your job, you lose it? Unless this is the final straw with Hicks and they're giving him one more opportunity. But every time it's one more opportunity, there's always the next one with Boone. Boone doesn't stand by his word, right? Last year, Hicks hit 8 home runs and hit 216. 40 RBIs. And 384 at-bats, right? One of the, and that's a weak 216, a very weak 216, right? He hasn't had a full season since 2018. That's the biggest sample size we have for a season. He was 28. He played 137 games. He hit 248. He had 27 homers and 79 RBIs and 581 at-bats. So that's the only kind of close to full season. He played 130 games last year, so the health was there. But he played 32 games in 21, 54 in 20, 59 in 19, 88 in 2017. Okay? So his best year was that 2018 season. His best year. Now, there's plenty of, talk about, evidence and sample sizes. There's plenty of stuff. There's plenty of things here to prove that he is not the 2018 player anymore. He had 235 in 19, 225 in 20, 194, but he only had 126 at bats. And last year he had 216. So he's a career 230 hitter if you really think about it, right? I don't think I'm the crazy one here to see that he's going to have the same type of season that he had here. And just wait for him and Donaldson to go 0 for their first 10 or 0 for their first 8, especially at home. They're not going to be here the end of it. And Boone's going to be, again, defending them. Oh, well, he just missed this pitch. He's seeing pitches. He's right there. Blah, 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 blah. And again, like I said, this video is running long. I'm sorry, and I know I'm ranting, but it drives me crazy. And I really do think that if we had a different manager in here, this team wouldn't have the feeling that it does. Mark my words. I really do believe that. A team that has Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, DJ LeMahieu, when they're all healthy, right? That's what they all fall down on. Like Michael Kay all the time. I listen to Kay all the time. And Kay always says, what if this guy was healthy? What if that guy was healthy? Would they lose to Houston in 4 games? You can't play what if It's not what if. It's the reality of the situation was Benintendi was hurt, LeMahieu was hurt. The other guys were healthy. Judge was healthy, Stanton was healthy. They didn't hit. Rizzo was healthy. They didn't hit. Okay? This team is flawed. It's not, they'll win the division. They probably will win close to 100 games, I would say. But are they going to be that team that everybody does not want to play in the playoffs? And they're not going to be. Okay? The analytical baseball works in the regular season. It does not work in the playoffs. And it's shown time and time again. The way that the Astros implement it, they look like a baseball team still. They still put the ball in play. They don't strike out a lot. They play good defense. They throw their starting pitching is amazing, right? Look at the 2018 Red Sox. They were one of the most complete teams of the last decade. Look at the Nationals. Least analytical team in baseball that year. They won. So analytics only can take you so far. You need a manager that can sense and feel the game, sense and have a pulse on his team so that he knows how to deploy that team. Do not come and tell me that Garrett Cole should have been taken out of that playoff game because the matchup was better against the slider for this relief pitcher. A relief pitcher who was here for 5 minutes. So, when you kind of look at all these comments and all these press conferences that he's going to give, nothing changes. They haven't learned their lesson yet. They haven't. And it's shown. It shows that. And on top of that, they feel that if they're healthy, this team can compete for a World Series. Yeah, if they're healthy. I know Nestor is going to be healthy. You lost Montas. Right? Montas so you lost one of your 5. Right, you're at 4 now, which is still a good 4, right? But you don't have that 5th rotation guy to turn it over. Clay Holmes has shoulder problems. How's his shoulder? Okay, nobody's talking about Clay Holmes. He was hampered by shoulder problems last year. Will King blow his elbow out in the first month of the season? Because he's coming back from that elbow problem, right? These are questions that need to be answered, right? Who's going to play left field if Hicks goes 0 for his first 20, right? Is it going to be Cabrera? Will they finally bring in Profar? I mean, these questions are agonizing, and they're simple questions. To sit here and tell the fan base that still wants Aaron Hicks out of town, he's your starting left fielder, just wait. Don't be surprised. Listen, I'm going to be at opening day as of right now. I got to wait for my varsity schedule to come out, see if we have a game that day. But if I don't have a game that day, I'm going to opening day. I can't wait for player introductions to see if Boone gets booed, and if Hicks gets booed, and if Donaldson gets booed. Because that'll tell you exactly where the fans are, and that, if they even believe the crap that is coming out of Boone's mouth. So, just to kind of recap here. Boone doesn't know what he's doing. He's a puppet. We're not the crazy ones. He's the crazy one. And he's really turning the fans against him. And is this the last straw with Boone? Even if they assigned him to a new contract. If Boone does not get over the hump, meaning they make the playoffs, yes. If they don't at least get to the World Series, is he done? Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Please hit the subscribe button. Help the video out by leaving a like. And I will catch you guys on the next video.